This is Paul Farinas. Farinas was charged with the brutal murder of his wife, Delinda Farinas, on September 3rd, 2004.
Delinda was found unresponsive by her 11-year-old son
in a bathtub filled with water, holding a partially submerged curling iron that was still plugged into an extension cord. Medical examiner Dr. Cameron Ross testified that the victim's death was a homicide caused by drowning and strangulation, though electrocution couldn't be ruled out. She confirmed clear evidence of drowning and strangulation, concluding the victim died from homicidal violence. At his interrogation, Farinas claimed that he left his house at 1:30 a.m. for work, saying that his wife was preparing the second bath at the time he left. However, neighbors reported a different story that contradicted his account. The neighbor, whose bedroom faces the street, said that she seen Farinas at 5:30 a.m. and was startled by the loud revving of his truck engine. She saw Farinas sitting for several minutes, and before she could approach him, he drove off. At the trial, after deliberation, Farinas was found guilty of all charges and was sentenced to 30 years in state prison. They say it takes up to 30 days for new inmates like Farinas to truly understand the full gravity of their situation. Fast forward, it's September 18th, 2024, just a week before Paul Farinas' parole hearing. It's been a long 20 years in Louisiana's notorious prison system, and Farinas has been enduring its harsh conditions. He's ready to go home and see this hearing as his last opportunity for freedom. Before we dive into Farinas' parole hearing, let's take a step back and explore the full story. What led to the tragic events that caused Farinas to take his wife's life? And as we uncover all the details, we'll ask you the critical question: does Farinas stand a chance at parole? It's an early morning in Terrytown, Louisiana. Terrytown is a suburban city bordering urban cities like New Orleans and Gretna. In 2010, the population was 23,319, and in 2020, the population was 25,278. This once peaceful community is about to wake up to a chilling discovery. Paul and Delinda appeared to be the perfect couple. They were always helping their neighbors, giving the impression of a happy and healthy marriage. But as the saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. Behind closed doors, Paul was abusive, and Delinda suffered from physical and emotional domestic violence. She kept her trauma hidden so well that even her closest friends and family had no idea what she was enduring. Delinda tried her best to be a good wife and stand by Paul's side, but as her home began to feel more like a prison, with Paul acting as the warden, escape was the only thing in her mind. Amid the turmoil, Delinda met Robert Johnson, and they quickly formed a bond. After months of planning, she was ready to divorce Paul, leave their home, and finally set herself free from the abuse. Tragically, on September 3rd, Paul discovered Delinda's plan and her relationship with Robert. As tensions escalated, officers received a 911 call from 434 Bruce Avenue in Terrytown approximately 6:46 a.m., reporting a disturbance at the residence. Police quickly rushed to the scene and swiftly secured the perimeter. The lead investigator, Detective Meunier, arrived between 8:30 and 8:40 a.m., finding no signs of forced entry. Inside the home, the scene was chilling. The victim, lying in the bathtub filled with water. Her face, including her mouth and nose, remained above water, with her head resting on the back of the tub. A pinkish froth oozed from her mouth and nose. Resting on her pelvic bone was a curling iron, and its cord partially submerged in water and connected to an extension cord, which officers had already unplugged by the time Meunier arrived. The victim's hand was cupped over the curling iron, and a hair curler was clipped to the back of her head, with more curlers scattered nearby. A mirror was propped against the toilet, angled towards the bathtub, giving an eerie impression of what may have been the final moments of her life. At the time of the incident, 5 children were inside the home. Sergeant Meunier later learned that the defendant, Paul Farinas, had been at the residence briefly before leaving the scene. In interviews with the victim's 11-year-old son and 8-year-old daughter, the children revealed that their mother was planning to leave Farinas. The daughter recounted hearing the victim and Farinas arguing the night before. At one point, she heard her mother pleading with Farinas to put down a gun. She witnessed the defendant holding a gun in the hallway during the incident. While on the scene, Robert Johnson, the victim boyfriend, approached the officers. Johnson strongly suggested that Farinas had killed the victim. He explained that she was planning to separate and divorce Farinas, and had already begun the process of securing an apartment. Officers later confirmed that 2 days prior to her death, the victim had submitted an application for an apartment on the West Bank, hoping to escape her tumultuous relationship for good. As we get ready to watch Farinas' parole hearing, the question still remains: what are the chances that he would be granted parole and spend the next 10 years as a free man? With everything on the line, it's a critical moment for Farinas. Let's see if he can convince the board that he deserves another chance at freedom.
172-985.
Okay, the way this is gonna go is that I'm gonna speak to you first, and then we'll let anybody for speak, which we have no one here in favor. We do have opposition, Mr. Randall Myers, Assistant District Attorney Jefferson, and Edna Amos, victim's mother, is here with us at headquarters, will be speaking, and Joanne Barton, victim's aunt, is here at headquarters but will not be speaking. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Farinas, tell us, why do you think we should parole you, and why, what you did to get yourself in this situation?
Committed a crime of manslaughter.
Okay, be a little bit more specific than that. I mean, what did you do? What happened?
The crime of manslaughter against my wife, Delinda Amos.
And why should we let you out?
I've done a lot productively through the years of being incarcerated. Been involved in a lot of programs, classes, mentoring, tutoring, and I think I'm a different person than I was when I first came in. Mindset, way of thinking, compassionate, and I would ask the board to please consider granting me a shot at another chance in society.
Okay. All right. First, we'll go to the victim's mother. To approach the podium, please, ma'am. Please state your name and relationship, ma'am.
My name is Edna Amos. I'm Delinda Amos' mother.
Okay, Ms. Amos, tell us what you want us to know, and please try to hold it under 5 minutes.
He objected when he first did it. He said he had 30 years flat. He said the crime like she electrocuted herself. Her 11-year-old son found her body in the tub. She not was just raising her 3, but also his 2 daughters. She would never ever get a chance to see her children graduate, get married, see her grandchildren. And he had the audacity to say he's a changed person. I don't think so. Because my oldest grandchild still have nightmares, and he's 31 years old. And for a child to find his mother in that condition is beyond belief. You know, I don't think he needs to be paroled. He needs to do his whole 30 that they claim that he was supposed to be doing.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming today. Next, we'll have Mr. Randall Myers, Assistant DA Jefferson Parish.
Good Good morning, Randall Meyer, Assistant DA in Jefferson. We're opposed to Mr. Farinas' request for parole. As you just heard, as victim opposition, Mr. Farinas, as noted in the judge in his opposition, had entered into a negotiated plea to serve 30 years for a violent, intentional, and carefully planned murder. And he staged a scene to try to make it look like an accident. And looking at what he's done since incarcerated, it doesn't appear that he's taken sufficient programs to warrant a release. The record shows that he's completed Living in Balance, True Freedom Program, and anger management. So based on that and the victim opposition, we are opposed to his request.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, this case has been assigned to Mr. Prater. Mr. Prater, would you lead us off in questioning?
All right, Mr. Farinas, tell us, I know you must not like to talk much, but I'm gonna try to pull it out of you. What have you learned in your classes about victims and victimization and that sort of thing?
Victimization, I guess is another form of bullying. I've learned compassion. That is not right. Helping people more, listening, understanding, finding out more about myself. And finding out more about myself enabled me to be able to help others with different facilitating of classes that I've done since being incarcerated. And I've strengthened in them areas since being incarcerated, and involving myself with different programs to enable me to be able to speak to you today and stating that, you know, I'm not the same person I was when I first entered prison.
Okay. Well, anytime you've been somewhere 20 years, you're not the same person that you were before. You've got some good letters from staff at the prison and the sheriff's office. You got some good letters. You got some victim opposition, DA and law enforcement. You've only served 20 years of a 30-year sentence, and you took a plea bargain. What were you originally charged with?
Second-degree murder.
Okay. How did let me pull it out of you. How did your wife get the curling iron when she's in the bathtub?
To be honest, sir, I wasn't even at the residence when that happened. This is stuff I've discovered through the first stages of when it started unfolding, and I wasn't even at the residence when it happened. I don't know how to truthfully answer that for you.
Did you provide her with the curling iron? I mean, you pled guilty to manslaughter. How did she get the curling iron?
That was a device that was in the household.
Did you have anything to do with her death?
No, sir, I didn't.
Think about the situation at hand. Yes, everybody is confused right now at Farinas saying that he is not guilty of a crime that he already pled guilty to. He was first charged and pled guilty to second-degree murder for the murder of his wife, but he then had the charge amended down to the lesser charge of manslaughter, which he then pled guilty to again. So yeah, that's a very, very strange situation. So let's see if it's going to work. Let's go.
That's all the questions I got.
Okay, Ms. Renata, do you have any questions?
Mr. Farinas, how old were you when this happened?
I'm 30, 31.
Mm-hmm. And how old was your wife?
29.
How old was I'm sorry.
29, I think.
Okay. No, I don't have any questions, Mr. Freeman. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have one question. I see in the record that you were removed from state police. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And why were you removed from state police?
It was a fight with another inmate.
And that was in 2015?
Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Prater, it was your case. You'll go first.
Okay, Mr. Farinas, it's kind of an unusual situation because you're still denying something that you pled guilty to, and that puts us in a kind of an awkward position in a way, but it makes it simple also. You served 20 years of a 30-year sentence. It was a gruesome crime. The 11-year-old could have been electrocuted when they found their mom. You don't seem to have a lot of remorse for what occurred, at least that I could hear, and you have no admission that you had anything to do with it. And so something you pled guilty to. I have no question of what my vote is going to be, and that is to deny your parole.
Ms. Renatza?
I agree. My vote is to deny parole based on the negotiated plea and the opposition expressed today.
Okay, and my vote is the same due to law enforcement and victim opposition and the plea bargain. Mr. Farinas, your parole has been denied. Good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
And we're signing off at Wynn Parish. Thank you, Wynn, for accommodating.
Thank you.
If you made it this far, thank you. Thanks for watching Crime and Parole. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to be posting new videos weekly, maybe 4 to 5 videos a week. So if you want more videos, let us know. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.